The river runs slow in the last week of summer. Reeds lean over the shallows where the current dies against the bank. Something sits in that water and has not moved for a long time. It is small. A child of 8 would stand taller. Its skin is the green of old pond stone, slick where the light catches it. A shell rides its back, ridged and dull, the shell of a turtle grown wrong. Its face ends in a beak. Its fingers are webbed and its nails are long. Its arms hang loose and heavy at its sides. Set into the crown of its head, pressed in like a cup into wet clay, there is a dish. The dish holds water. Everything the creature does, it does for that dish. It shifts its weight and the water tilts. It stops. It waits until the surface goes flat again. Then it rises out of the shallows one slow inch at a time. It comes up the mud the way a man carries a full bowl through a crowded room. Shoulders locked, chin level, every step measured against the thing balanced on his head. At the top of the bank it stops in the reeds and waits. A man comes down to the ford in the last of the afternoon, carrying his sandals. The water is warm at the edge and cold 3 steps out. He goes into his knees, then his thighs. He feels for the gravel bar with his feet. The thing in the reeds comes down the bank without a sound. It enters the water and the surface barely marks where it went. The man feels a hand close on his ankle. It is a child's hand in size. It is nothing like a child's hand in strength. It pulls once, straight down, and the river takes his shout and flattens it. Underneath, it works fast. It reaches into him and draws out the shirikodama. That is the small round jewel the old accounts place somewhere inside the body. That is the part it came for. The rest it lets go. The current turns the man over. It carries him down toward the shallows below the ford. The Kappa comes up onto the bank with river water running off its shell. It stands still a moment. Then it lifts its chin and levels its head. It starts back up the mud one careful step at a time, keeping the water in its dish from spilling. The dish is not decoration and it is not armor. It is where the creature keeps its life. Full, a Kappa can take a horse by the lead rope and walk it backward into a river. Empty, the same creature cannot lift its own arm. The accounts split on what comes next. In some it lies where it fell and simply cannot move. In others it dies there in the sun before the hour is out. Water poured back into the dish brings it up whole again, exactly as strong as it was. That is why it never runs. It does not lunge. It does not throw itself at anything. It does not fight uphill. It stays in the river, where the dish stays full without any effort at all. It comes on to land briefly and carefully. It comes only when something on the bank is worth the walk. The longer it stays out of the water, the lower the dish runs. You can read the difference in the way it moves. Early, it is quick and loose. Later, every step is negotiated. The name says the same thing the dish does. Kawa is river. The rest of it means child. Along different rivers, it went by different names. Gataro, Kawataro, Kawako, but the river is in all of them. It is not a thing that visits the water. It is a thing the water has. So a creature strong enough to drown a grown man spends its life carrying a cup it cannot afford to tip. Everything strange it does from here, it does with that cup on its head. A man walks the path along the river at dusk. He finds one standing in the middle of it. He knows what it is. He knows what it does at the ford. He is on land and so is it, and neither of those facts helps him. It is faster than he is, and it is between him and the village, so he bows. He bends at the waist, slowly, the way a man greets someone above his station. He holds it there, and the Kappa bows back. It cannot do anything else. Courtesy offered has to be returned. This is not a choice it makes. It is a law it lives under. Its head goes down and the dish goes with it. The water runs out of the crown of its skull and soaks into the dirt. By the time it straightens up, the strength is already gone out of its arms. The man walks past it. He does not run, because there is no longer anything to run from. That is where most men leave the story. Some do not. A man who kneels and pours water back into that dish has done something the creature cannot ignore. It owes him. It will carry water for his fields. It will bring fish to his door. It will do it for years, without being asked again, because the debt was never cancelled. The courtesy goes deeper than the bow. A Kappa that gives its word keeps it. Villages along some rivers held written pacts with the thing in their water. The thing honored them. The drowning stopped. It will not lie about a promise. It will not find a way around one. It holds to the letter of an agreement long after the man who signed it is dead. Some villages even claim to preserve written pacts with the creature. A Kappa taken alive is a small thing. Some accounts even claimed a Kappa had been captured, tied, and carried up to the village in a tub. Men stood around it and looked at it for a long time. Then they wrote down what they saw. They drew it carefully, the shell and the beak and the dish. Those drawings went from hand to hand and village to village, filed beside descriptions of fish and birds. Not as a story, as a record of an animal somebody had seen. What the captors wanted from it was never the body. It was a signature. They put the terms to it and made it mark the paper. Households kept those documents for generations, folded in with the deeds and the family registers. A pledge from the thing in the river in its own hand, and it held. That is what stops this from being a curiosity. The pact worked because the creature cannot do what every other predator can, which is change its mind. This is the shape of it. Something that pulls children off a gravel bar and takes what it wants from their bodies. Something that cannot walk away from a bough and cannot break a word once it is given. Both of those live in the same body at the same time in every story. Which means it can be dealt with. A household that lives on the water learns the terms early. You do not fight the thing in the river. You pay it. What it wants is cucumbers. The appetite is absolute and it is old. A Kappa will take a cucumber over almost anything a man can offer it. Whole villages built their arrangement on that single fact. Before the swimming season, a family carves its names into the skin of a cucumber. The cucumber goes into the river. The names go with it. The thing in the water reads them and knows which children on that bank are already paid for. In some places, the first cucumber of the season went to the river before any human touched one. Eat before the river eats and you have insulted it. Then the summer is not covered. The custom outlived the belief entirely. There is a roll of rice and seaweed wrapped around a length of cucumber, sold in every sushi shop in Japan. It is named after the creature, Kappamaki. Its tribute is now a menu item. Payment is one half of the arrangement. The other half is knowing what it will not come near. It will not touch iron. It keeps away from deer antler and from gourds floating on the surface. Households along bad stretches of river kept these things at the landing, at the ford, on the child sent down to fetch water. None of it is a weapon. All of it is a boundary, and the creature respects boundaries, which is the entire principle it operates on. And when it is not being paid, it wants to wrestle. The challenge comes at the water's edge. A Kappa will call a man out to grapple. A man who refuses has insulted it. A man who accepts is fighting something that can drag horses. On paper it is not a fight. Men win it constantly. They win it because of the dish. The trick is the same every time, and it works because the creature cannot refuse the opening. The man bows to his opponent before the bout, the way any wrestler does. The Kappa returns the bow because it has to. Half its strength pours out onto the sand, or the man closes, gets a hand up over the crown of that skull, and tips it. Either way, the match ends the same. Something that could have broken his spine is lying at his feet. It cannot stand. It waits to find out what he intends to do about it. Here is what a man usually does about it. The story turns up along river after river. The details move around, the shape never does. A horse is left tethered near the water while its owner works. The Kappa comes up out of the shallows and takes hold of the lead rope. A horse dragged into the river is a good day. Its arms are not built the way a man's are. The old accounts agree on this. The two run through the body as one single piece, sleeved across the shoulders. Pull one and the other draws in. Hold one and the other cannot come free. That is the flaw in the grip it has just taken. But the horse is bigger than it is. The horse panics. The horse runs. It runs uphill and away from the water. The Kappa will not let go. The horse drags it up the bank, across the field, into the yard of the house. Something has to give, and what gives is the arm. It tears out at the shoulder. The creature goes back into the river without it. That night it comes to the house. It is at the edge of the lamplight. Small, green, ruined, standing in the doorway of the man who has its arm. It is asking for the arm back. It says it can still fix the arm if it is returned quickly enough. It says it will give anything. The man does not hand it over for nothing. He makes the thing promise out loud that it will never take another person from his stretch of the river, and the Kappa promises. That settles it, because a Kappa that promises is a Kappa that is bound. Then it pays the rest. What it gives is medicine. In some versions, it is a recipe for a salve, a bone-knitting ointment for wounds and breaks. It is handed over in the doorway in exchange for its own severed limb. In others, it is the knowledge of setting bones, taught properly, passed from the creature to the family. There are households in Japan that trace their medicine back to that night. Their remedies carried the creature's name for generations, and people came from other villages to buy them. Elsewhere, the debt gets paid in a smaller currency. Fish appear at the door before dawn, every morning, left by something nobody sees. The arrangement runs for years. It ends the moment a member of the household breaks the terms, watches for it, or shames it. Then the fish stop and the river goes quiet, and it is never repaired. So the account stands like this. It drowns people at the ford. It cannot refuse a bow. It keeps its word past the death of the man who took it. It eats what is left for it at the water, and when it is beaten and broken and begging in a doorway, it pays what it owes. What it has to pay with is the power to heal. That is not the behavior of a monster. Monsters do not have terms. Before there was a Kappa in that river, there was a god in it. The water had Suijin, deities of the river, the spring, the well, the ditch that fed the rice. They were not distant. They lived at the specific bend where the village drew its water, and the village knew them by that bend. Shrines stood on those banks. Rites were kept at planting and at harvest. Rites were kept before the summer, when the water rose and the children went in. The offerings went into the water. The prayers were for passage, for a season without a drowning. The god took what was given, and the village lived on its river. Then the centuries did what centuries do. Belief thinned. The rites got smaller, then rarer, then stopped. The shrines went quiet. The gods did not leave. They shrank. This is the reading that historians of Japanese religion give it. The record does not state it outright. But the shape of the thing left behind is hard to argue with, because look at what the Kappa is still doing. It keeps a vessel of water on its head, and its entire existence depends on that vessel staying full. That is not an anatomy. That is a ritual object. The creature is still tending it, alone, every hour of every day, long after anyone stopped watching. It cannot refuse a bow, not manners. Right. The forms of worship survive inside it as a compulsion. The last thing a fallen god can still enforce is the one gesture that was owed to a god. It takes cucumbers with names cut into them, thrown into the river before the swimming season. In exchange, those children come home. Strip the creature out of that sentence, and what remains is an offering, made at the water for safe passage. It is the same offering made at the same bend by the same families for 1,000 years. It grants healing to those who show it the right respect. That is not a monster's mercy. That is the last working function of a benevolent water deity. It is still operating in a doorway at night for a farmer holding its arm in a sack. And it does not stay in the river all year. When the cold comes, the Kappa goes up. It leaves the water in autumn and goes into the mountains. It stays there through the dead months. In spring, it comes back down to the same bend and takes up the same post. That is not the behavior of an animal. That is the calendar of a god. The mountain deity comes down in spring to become the god of the rice field. The field is worked and the harvest is taken. In autumn, the god goes back up into the mountains. Japan kept that cycle for centuries and built its farming year around it. The Kappa is still walking it. Up in the cold, down for the season when the water matters, back up when the fields are cut. Nobody calls it down anymore. Nobody thanks it when it goes. It goes anyway. There is more underneath. Some scholars trace the creature back further still, to the straw and paper effigies cast into rivers at purification rites. A man's sickness and sin went into the figure. The figure went into the water. What was thrown away came back up green and small and shaped roughly like a person. And the drownings. A river god that is honored takes what it is given. A river god that nobody honors anymore takes what it is owed. It takes it directly from whoever wades in. In that reading, the thing at the ford was never breaking its nature. It was collecting. The river runs slow in the last week of summer. the reeds lean out over the shallows. The surface at the ford gives back the sky and nothing else. Somewhere under it, a small green thing sits with a dish of water set into its skull. It does not move. It keeps the dish level. Nobody carves names into cucumbers on this bank anymore. Nobody bows at the water before the season turns. The shrine that stood here is a name in a record. The rite it kept is now a story told to children so they stay out of the current. It is still keeping its side of the arrangement. It still cannot refuse a bow. It still will not break a promise. If anyone came down here to ask it for one, it would still carry water for a man who knelt and filled that dish. Nobody comes down here to ask. The water goes still, and it waits, and it holds the dish exactly level. It holds it the way you hold something you were handed a very long time ago and were never told to put down.